Good morning, everyone, and Shabbat Shalom. In this week's Torah portion, we find the story of Abraham, who had just undergone circumcision at the age of 99 years old. And it was a hot day, and our rabbis explained that God made it deliberately very hot, so that there should be no travelers, because God knew that Abraham would want to entertain guests, and God wanted Abraham to recover and heal from his surgery. But then God saw that Abraham was sitting by the door of his tent looking for opportunities to find guests to do kindness with. So when God saw that Abraham desperately wants to perform kindness despite his pain, God sends 3 men down the road. But these were really angels disguised as human beings to give Abraham the opportunity to serve guests. When Abraham sees these travelers, he runs towards them and he says, "Please come into my home and be my guests." And he seats them outside underneath the tree, and he serves them a lavish meal. And then the verse says, "V'hu omed alehem tachat ha'etz vayochelu," that Abraham is like a waiter. He stands over them as they eat, ready to serve them with all their needs. And the question is, when you're in a restaurant, the waiter serves you your food, and then he leaves, and he comes back a little later to see if you need anything extra or more. But the waiter doesn't stand over your table. You wouldn't want the waiter to stand over your table. Why does Abraham stand under the tree over the guests? And one beautiful Hasidic answer to the question is that this is not discussing physically, it's discussing spiritually. What the verse is saying is that here were 3 angels, but at the moment that Abraham performed this act of kindness with them, V'hu omed alehem, he was standing over them, above them under the tree, that he had risen to a level even higher than the angels. Because when human beings perform kindness, they reach a level that even angels can't reach. Because in the world of angels, you can't do kindness. Because angels don't lack anything. Angels are not hungry, they're not poor, they don't need comfort, they don't need visiting. So only human beings have this capacity, and a human being, when he chooses to be kind, becomes greater and higher and more elevated even than the angels. We returned yesterday from a few days in Israel. And Israel is now a country filled with millions and millions of angels. Everyone in the country is performing constant acts of kindness. And that's what we witness morning to evening. Everyone going and helping and loving and supporting and encouraging and caring for one another. Millions and millions of acts of kindness every day throughout the country. And not just from Jews in Israel, but people pouring into the country to lend financial help and support and physical volunteering and anything possible. And we are now become a nation of angels. We saw this constantly, but just to give you 2 examples. When we were there, we learned about a community called Netivot. Netivot is just a few kilometers from Gaza. Now, certain towns were evacuated by the government and put up in hotels, and the government is taking care of their needs. But for whatever reason, certain towns weren't included in the cutoff line. Netivot is a town that has constant rocket fire from Gaza. And besides being terrifying, it's dangerous because, first of all, not everyone has safety rooms in their buildings, in their homes. Actually, just a few days before we came, 2 days before we came, 3 residents of a building were killed. Second of all, you can't go out. You have to stay inside because you have 25 seconds because it's so close to Gaza to get into the shelter. So you can't go on the street. The kids have to stay cooped up. And 80% of the residents left to family, to friends, to go further away from the fighting, or to even rent an Airbnb somewhere. But 20% of the residents of Netivot can't afford to leave. They have nowhere to go, and they can't afford to rent an Airbnb. So they unfortunately have been staying there for the past 3.5 weeks under the fire. And so we contacted someone in the town by the name of Nati, who said, "Please come, there are so many poor families here. The people who remain are the poorest families. They need the most help. Come, I want you to help these families." So we came to Netivot, and for hours he took us from family to family. We met with the families, with the children, with the grandchildren, and we left them envelopes with shekels, with sums of money to take care. And they were so grateful, they couldn't believe it. One person said to me afterwards, sent me a message and said, "We couldn't pay the rent this month and we didn't know what to do. And the money you left in the envelope was exactly the amount to pay the rent." And they were so appreciative. And Nati ran around with us, calling people, Chaim, are you home? I'm bringing some people from Florida who have want to leave you an envelope. Shalom, this one, that one, running with such excitement and enthusiasm. After we left Netivot, Nati leaves me a message. He says, Rabbi, people heard you were in town, and people are calling me saying, I didn't get an envelope. Why didn't you come to me? Why didn't you come to me? I don't know what to do. I said, Nati, listen, we're leaving tomorrow night. Let me see what I have left over. If I have extra, I'll call you. A few hours before we left to the airport, I counted. We had 50,000 shekels left. I called Nati, said, Nati, I still have some money. If you want, I'm in Yerushalayim, I can give it to you. He said, Rabbi, I'm getting into the car. I'll be there in an hour and a half. He jumped in his car, came running to Yerushalayim, and with great joy took the money and said, I can't wait to go distribute this to all the people in need. Before I left, I said, Nati, here's 3 envelopes for you and your family. Thank you for everything you've done. He said, Rabbi, chas v'shalom, God forbid, I have what I need. I don't want anything. I don't need anything. I just want to help the people. These are the angels that are in Israel right now. And then there's a woman from our community who's a single mother who made Aliyah, and she's been unemployed for 6 months. And I reached out and I said, let's get together. I have some help for you. I gave her 10,000 shekels. She was so grateful and appreciative. She called later to thank me, and she said, listen, Rabbi, not only have you done a kindness for me, but I have 2 friends who are also struggling. And I felt so bad that I couldn't help them. I want you to know I gave 2,000 shekel to one family and 2,000 to another family. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to help these other families. Here's a woman who could use every single shekel for herself and her 3 children, but said, no, it's not just about me. We all have to help each other no matter what plight we're in. In the merit of all this kindness, and in the merit of a nation filled with angels, not only in Israel but around the world, may God bless Israel to succeed. Because at the end of the day, the victory of Israel is in the hands of Hashem. It's not Hamas, not Iran, not Hezbollah, not even the United States that is going to determine the success of this war. Hashem is going to see to it, because Hashem will bless His nation with strength and with peace. And so let us continue to do good deeds, create merits, to pray, to perform mitzvot, and we will see the swift and successful victory of Israel over the evil terrorists. Have a Shabbat Shalom.